No frickin' way. Okay.
What's up?
All right, I'm just gonna bring us on and you can say hi to people.
Okay.
So right as we get all the tech issues figured out, of course, the power circuit on, because the house is so hot, the circuit that my lights are on just popped.
Oh my God, that sucks.
Because I forgot to move it to the other thing. Hi people, we're here. I'm gonna leave you with just Owen for a minute, and Owen's gonna talk and tell you about this event. You want to tell him about the event on Saturday while we wait for calls to come in? Here, I'm just gonna pause my and put on a thing to keep the formatting kind of normal. Anyway, y'all talk for a minute. I'm gonna fix the lights.
Okay, can do. Yeah. Wow, we just straight up froze there. Yeah, we're going to be doing an event on Saturday. I believe it's on the Line Patreon. I'm going to be giving it's basically like a virtual conference. And I'm going to be talking about religion in 1930s Germany. The reason I studied this extensively, I wrote a book about it, is because I heard people talk a lot about, like Christopher Hitchens, for example, has talked about how the Catholic Church worked directly with Hitler. And Christian nationalists always talk about how Catholics were persecuted by Hitler. So I wanted to know the real factual truth about the situation. Is this, was religion in Germany really kind of co-opted by Hitler, or were they persecuted, or what? What was the deal? Because Christians, they also like to claim that the Christians were working against Hitler and everything else. So I wrote this big, long, elaborate book about it to get to the truth, and I'm going to be giving a long talk on it. I think it's like a 20-minute talk on it on the Line Patreon, if I'm not mistaken. The book is titled, Was Hitler an Atheist? And the short answer to that question is no, he was not an atheist. But you guys can see, I don't like comparing Trump and Hitler in this context because I think Trump might be an atheist, actually. But Hitler was very clearly not. And I'm wondering, but I think the comparison is apt between the two when it comes to how they tried to control organizations. You can see Trump very clearly asserting control over every organization. He gets it under his thumb. Look at how he did the Republican Party. It's his now. And they fought it, too, for a while. Some of the insiders in the Republican Party fought it pretty hard early on. So anyway, that's what it's going to be about, and it's going to be super interesting. I'm just going to talk about what it was like, what religion was all about, and when they were persecuted and when they weren't, and everything. Hitler had his own denomination of Christianity called, they wanted to call themselves the Christian Nationalists, Evangelische Nationalismus, or the Protestant Nationalists or Evangelical Nationalists. But Hitler actually vetoed that name in favor of the German Christians because he thought it was less exclusionary. So anyway, yeah, pretty interesting stuff. That's what we talk about.
It's funny when a Nazi is like, I don't want to be associated with Christian nationalism.
Right?
Let's not go crazy on this guy. Relax, guy.
Yeah. Did you see those two South Park episodes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I'm having a good time with it, too. Just... watching I'm totally in on the joke. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
Yeah, right.
And the way they they'll keep doing it, and then they'll just show a little bit. They'll just break it a little bit. You'll see.
Oh, dude, yeah, Kristi Noem.
Yeah,
torn to pieces. She was torn to pieces by it. She was. You can tell she was.
Yeah. She's broadcasting that she was. Hey, listen, our phone number is 336-543-2101. The claim we are making right now is that MAGA and Christians are ruining. Oh, no. That's not today's title claim. Let me fix that. It's pretty similar. Christian nationalism and MAGA are cancer. And if you would like to call and contend with that claim, if you would like to argue with us that we are incorrect and tell us why we are wrong, then you can call 1-336-543-2101. I love that phone number. People were mad at me the way I had it written out, because I tried to write it in a way that emphasized the 654-321, or even and anyway, everyone's like, nah, just go the normal way. It is so fun to type though. You're literally like, you're in your phone thing and you're just like 33654-32101.
Yeah.
It's nice.
By the way,
nice.
people saying my name is Jovan Bradley.
Yeah, I got to fix a lot of stuff. I was fixing stuff right before we got started, people, and then no sweat. Other stuff didn't get fixed. By the way, we still don't have an opening intro, and I realized that I'm having total block on it. So if you are a creator who makes video stuff, shoot me an email at contact, CONTACT at QNAline.com with a proposal of the type of video you think would make a good intro. We generally want our intros. I'll probably make a little guide. I'll be like, hey, send your submissions here, and I'll put up a website so people can send your submissions for the idea. I don't want anybody to work on it, because we will pay whoever we hire to do it. And so what your idea, your vision for it would be, give me a link to other things you have made so I can see your ability there. And we will definitely let people make it we'll let somebody out there, we'll hire somebody out there to make it for us. I would love to do that, actually. I think that would be the shiznit. And so, whatever your proposal is. As far as audio would go for it, generally we only want the visual part to be somewhere between 10 and 15 seconds, but the music can fade out. It would need to be music that is from the Epidemic Sound library. You can find them online, and you can listen to their entire library on Spotify. So if you're like, I know this part of this song is what I would probably want to feature, because we have a business license with them. We can use all the Epidemic Sound license music we want. So, if anybody's interested in that, go ahead and hit that up. But anyway, we are here looking for callers and people who want to debate now. And our topic of the day is that Christian nationalism and MAGA are cancer. If you would like to refute this, rebut it, whatever else, you should do so. Also, I think you were just talking about LineCon Online live this Saturday over at patreon.com/calltheline. We're basically using that as our virtual ticketing system for our miniature events instead of actually hiring a ticketing system. It's simple. If you are on the $15 or above tier, you get to attend these events, and we're going to be doing something like it each month. So this month for $15, you get that. Plus you then unlock everything else, all of the extended episodes of The Line Has a Podcast. You got all of the other benefits of Patreon plus this event. And only people who attend will be able to we're going to be releasing a first LineCon ever merch shirt featuring Zerba. And only people who attend will have a link to buying that shirt too. So lots of cool reasons to go while we sit here and wait I'm just waiting for the first Republican who's got the bravery, who has the, they talk about all these cojones they have, and yet we have not a single cojone on the line.
And/or berries. Yeah. Hey, can you add me to the Collins Studio thing? Yeah,
I sure can. Will you just shoot me on Discord what email address you use for it?
Yes.
People, go ahead and call in that number 336. If you're calling in America, 543-2101. The phone number is in the description, as is a link to the web caller. If you wanted to call using the web, you can do both. I bet I know what it is going to be. Oh, you know what? That's not the one. That's not the email address I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be something else.
Okay. I use the other one for other things.
Yeah. That's... Tell me it's for Pornhub without telling me it's for Pornhub.
No.
You want to compare algorithms later?
No. Just kidding.
That was one of my favorite Rick and Morty bits when Rick was like, "Why do you have a Pornhub account?" He's like, it's like when you meet somebody, you can kind of like compare your algorithms, see what each other's into. He's like, "God, stop! I'm sold."
That's funny.
It's like, that's an excellent point. It's an excellent point. If
I've never seen Rick and Morty.
Not once, huh? I quite like Rick and Morty. Yeah. I quite like it. I don't like a lot of the fan base. It's one of those shows where the fan base kind of ruins it because they get it on a level you don't get it.
Yeah.
and I can't stand those people very much. It's literally just like, it's so strange. This like, there's so many types of purity checking in so many communities. And the concept of like, you're not a legit fan if all you do is enjoy the product.
Right.
That one's like the fucking silliest one.
Yeah. I got to give it another shot.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I like it. All right, let's see. Let me refresh some of my spots here and see what the live chat's saying. People, we're waiting. 336-543-2101. If you would like to call in and debate with us, if somebody wants to call in and ask for advice when handling their MAGA people, we could take that call in the meantime. That phone number, 336-543-2101. 336-543-2101. We got to figure out how to turn that into a song. I'm calling it now. 336-543-2101.
That's pretty good.
That's our theme song.
I'm posting on my community tab right now. 336-543-2101.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. Sorry, I didn't do the thing.
No. You're good. I should probably post it to the lines. Right now I'm trying to do a million things, including asking my partner. I don't know if my partner is listening, but if you are, would you make me a double packet of my medicine, please? I forgot to take it while doing everything else. Just walk by the door if you heard that and give me a thumbs up. Maybe like a third of a bottle of water with 2 packets of the meds. I thought my partner was listening.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. All right. You keep talking to them. I'm gonna shout for them.
Okay. All right. Oh no. Did my computer just die on me?
I still see you.
Okay, everything just froze on me. You can still see me?
And hear you.
And hear me. Okay. Okay, no, we're good. We're good. Everything's legit just completely froze. I don't know why, but anyway. Yeah, I can keep talking to him. You can do your thing.
All right, we're good. No. She's on it. She's on it. Every day I have to start the day with, so I take this stuff that's gross, and it's a resin that binds up bile. And but I have to take all of my other meds a couple hours before I drink it. And then I have to take this thing multiple times a day. And so I was supposed to take this like an hour ago, and I was too busy fixing stuff. But we're here. We're good. We're chilling. We're good.
My computer just completely just turned off on me earlier, actually, about an hour and a half ago. Just turned off.
Just decided no more.
Yeah, and I'm worried now. It keeps freezing up on me, and I have no idea why. I'm frozen now again. So I don't know. I hope something doesn't happen.
You know what you might need to do is check your other computers in the house, find out if they unionized.
Yeah, that could be.
Maybe they're like, we're through with this. This is garbage.
Yeah.
These conditions, we will not work under them.
Right.
That's my best guess. All right. 336-543-2101. You know, it's so funny. We had such a strong start the other day. We started the show, Javon and I. Obviously, there wasn't a strong tech start. There was a lot of issues going on. But we got through the beginning and got through the tech issues. First caller literally said they're a white nationalist, just not a Christian. A white nationalist, nationalist socialist. Another individual who does not understand that socialism and nationalism literally are incompatible.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So he's describing himself as a Nazi. That is actually what the Nazis. Yeah,
right.
That's crazy.
And later when he was like, fine, I guess if you don't want to describe me as a socialist, you could call me a corporatist. And I'm like, so you definitely don't understand what socialism is. If you think those terms are interchangeable, are you outside of your mind?
That's wild. Yeah, corporatism is what Italy had going on during World War II. So
yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
Since when has corporatism ever just naturally slid into fascism? How would that even work, guy? There we go. You are the best. My partner.
In Italy, their economy was kind of basically completely controlled by the state, except the state got the business leaders to come in and work together to try to draw out economic policy. That's how corporatism worked with fascism there. But logistically, fascism is an incoherent ideology. It's a nonsensical mess of hypocrisy and nonsense at the end of the day.
That was disgusting. It always is, though. and I've been taking it for a year, multiple times a day, but that's just gross. However, life-changing. Literally, like, has made my life 100 times better than it was.
I was wondering how it was working. It's doing pretty well then?
Yeah. I mean, not to share too much information, but I went from having like really bad GI system stuff like a dozen times a day to like I have a pretty much normal. I shit normally, usually like twice a day. Yeah.
Good news.
Yeah,
Damn.
and pretty much haven't broken from that with maybe a couple of little breakthrough issues 3 or 4 times in the year I've been taking the meds now. So a lot of my biome is coming back, a lot of my energy and stuff. I still get hit with these waves of like really rough fatigue, but I've been able to kind of work around that. And sometimes I can even tell like how far off it is or try and do things to move it to a different part of the day.
Right.
You know what's delicious? I can't really have much because I can't eat a lot of foods, but I'll break off a little corner piece of Lindt dark chocolate orange, and I'll just suck on that for like a minute or two.
Ew,
however long it takes.
Chocolate?
I can't have milk chocolate anymore. Trust me, when you can't have, I don't have any sugar in my. There's some sugar in the resin drink the resin that binds up the bile, there's some sugar in that. That is where most of my sugar in a day comes. Otherwise, I have none. So when you have no sweets, no candy, no dessert for over a year, dark chocolate starts to taste really good.
Okay, I can see that.
I was a milk chocolate man before.
I like white chocolate. White chocolate is awesome.
Okay, well, you don't get to ooh anything.
You don't
How
like
dare you use a
chocolate?
White chocolate is good combined with other things or as frozen yogurt. I like white chocolate frozen yogurt, actually. Well, I have liked white chocolate frozen yogurt. I can't speak.
I haven't had s'mores in a long time, but s'mores with white chocolate are so good, dude. Oh, my God.
I'd try it. I do love s'mores. I utterly love s'mores. All right, let's see. I think we've got a call that's going to be screening. Okay, I guess that's odd. Oh, no. I see. Our screener was testing to make sure. I was like, oh, we got a call in line. Hey,
then.
People, we're waiting. Our claim, if you want to call and talk about it, especially if you want to challenge it, if you have a question for us, you can call in with that. In the meantime, we'll do a little Q&A thing while we wait for the good calls to come. But our claim right now, Christian nationalism and MAGA are cancer. They are destroying America.
I can discuss it with you if you want. Come on.
Maybe
get in here. Talk to us.
I'm going to change the time. I'm going to change it back to destroying America and see if that helps with who it's giving it to. Because it might be serving us to the shorts people who are watching cancer stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll just do destroying us. Maybe I'm running out of room in my title here for stuff.
Dude, I have this patron, longtime patron, who's having like some real health issues, and it's pretty horrifying stuff, man. Mentioning cancer, I don't think he has cancer, but boy, that shit gets to you.
Yeah, I've been sick and I've been around illness as a result of it for pretty much my whole adult life. Had issues in my teenage years too, but it got much worse and it is tough, and it's especially we were talking about on the podcast. I've been around a weirdly high number of people, both who have died from illness, and also I've witnessed a lot of accidental death, like way more than the normal person does. And it's not like dozens, but I think I've witnessed like 4 or 5 lethal accidents or the bodies of people killed in like vehicular accidents.
That's nuts.
Motorcycles or something. Yeah, or I'd say 2 or 3 where I saw them live, and then another 2 or 3 where drove past them before they had concealed the bodies and stuff, before they'd had time to like get rid of the.
Damn, I've never seen that stuff. I didn't actually have to like deal with death in my family or anything until fairly recently for the first time, luckily. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember that's rough. My parents are still alive, but I've lost all my grandparents, and then we had a great grandmother growing up. I've lost all of them, and my dad recently found out that I don't know. It's going to seem so dark that I just chuckled when I said that, but more of because I was like, what angle am I going to approach this at? My dad recently found out he has Parkinson's. and his dad had Parkinson's, and I believe his dad before that had Parkinson's.
Oh,
and so
shit.
I don't have a relationship with my dad anymore, but did find out through other family members that this had happened. And I think like a lot of people expect when you find out that you have a family member going through that, even if things are like have been rough, that maybe you're like, oh, well, I still feel, and it, like, I feel bad for him in the way I'd feel bad for anybody just having Parkinson's. But my response was like, oh man, am I going to get Parkinson's?
Yeah.
That was my thing. So I was like, I think I'm going to maybe exercise a little more often. Parkinson's, the number one thing you can do is exercise when you're younger to prevent it.
Really? I didn't know.
Yep. And then dementia, the number one thing you can do is reduce your sugar intake.
Wow. I had no idea. God, I wish we understood these diseases better. That's wild. I know that there's a Parkinson's medicine that if you take too much of it, like if your dose is too high, then it will turn you into a compulsive gambler. Never gamble a day in your life, and now you're a compulsive gambler.
Interesting.
And they have to lower the dosage and you're normal again. Yeah.
Which is interesting. Guys, the number's there, 336-543-2101. Call in. We'd love to debate you right now on Christian nationalism, or call in if you believe in God and you want to talk about whether or not your belief in God is justified. We're ready to have these conversations with you right now. We'll do it. 1-336-543-2101. Gambling addiction, apparently Ozempic can treat.
Really?
You heard about that? Yeah. People are treating gambling addiction and other things in that like category with GLP-1 drugs specifically. You can, that can reduce your deal too. Dementia is like kind of colloquially by a lot of doctors referred to as type 3 diabetes, even though type 3 diabetes is actually already a thing. Type 3 diabetes is when you just have diabetes while you're pregnant.
Gestational?
That's what type 3 diabetes already is. Type 4 diabetes also technically exists too, and it's essentially the same as type 1 diabetes. They operate the exact same in practice. The reason I know this is there is so much diabetes in my family. It's crazy.
Right.
But type 4 diabetes, and literally like all of them. The only, I don't think I've had a type 3 in my family, but we have type 1, type 2, and type 4. Type 4 is operationally the same as type 1, but the type 1 happens when your own body just at some point like attacks your pancreas and your pancreas stops working, not because of excess fat or insulin resistance or whatever else, but like an actual, where type 4 would be the same thing, but the cause of that was something external. So somebody who gets like some type of infection that later causes the body to attack the pancreas. That would be type 4.
Absolutely
anyway,
wild. I understand you can get like you can get rid of diabetes through a pancreas transplant, I think.
I'm not aware of that happening yet.
I could be wrong. But
right. You can treat it pretty well by basically having a robot pancreas that you have to change the insulin on all the time. But that's what all of my siblings who have to use active insulin because they can't take, it's not just insulin resistance. I have two siblings with one's type 1, one's type 4. And then I have a niece that's type 1, and they all use insulin pumps that basically they wear, and then they have it synchronizes to, I don't know if they all use the synchronized system, but at least one of them does. It synchronizes to an all the time monitor, and it can like kind of regulate, and they can tell it in advance, oh, I'm about to eat such and such, so give me this many units in advance.
Yeah, my dad had diabetes, and he had to like take the medicine, then he eventually had to take shots and everything. It was such a mess. My cat has diabetes now, unfortunately. She actually had a hypoglycemic event not too long ago and now has seizures. She has to take phenobarbital for seizures. It's wild. That
is crazy. My dog used to be on Xanax, but he's not on Xanax anymore. I think it was Xanax. It was one of those drugs. He's like, he constantly vibrates. And actually he had a bad reaction to dogs. Usually they give you Xanax, and it's supposed to, if you have like that craziness, it's supposed to help you like straighten out and concentrate and whatever else. He had what is it called? A paradoxical reaction. It made him crazier. So then we ended up doing an SSRI that was different, and that one worked for him for a long time. And then slowly we weaned off, and now he's got more behavioral behavioral consistency that helps him stay calm and everything. Though the vet we took him to recently was like, we can get you some stuff for like if you bring him back, maybe give him something. Anytime you give him new stuff to his stuff, he gets crazy again.
Right.
He's just nervous.
I also just looked here, and it looks like if you get a pancreas transplant, you will no longer be diabetic.
Wow. Is it worth... So is the reason why people don't do that is it that the lifetime of immunosuppressants... I've been on immunosuppressants, not for transplants before. They fucking suck.
From what I'm...
sucky.
Yeah.
Is that why people don't do it? Because they'd rather take the insulin than be on immunosuppressants?
Partly that, and also from what I'm reading here, yes, lifelong immunosuppression and grafts can fail. And it's hard to get organ transplants anyway, like because organs have to come from like a living donor or somebody who just died. So creating a whole, they can manage it with medicine instead of managing it with, you know, creating this whole industry of transplants or whatever. So they generally just go with the medicine.
Is somebody in the chat saying that they are blocked and can't call because they're blocked? Because we have not sent out a single block signal. I don't know. The blocked list probably is the same between the two. But I don't even know for a fact.
You want me to try calling?
No. We know the call-in system's working, but somebody I think in the chat was saying that, well, someone is advising somebody else. Someone's saying they got blocked. Okay. Could you ask them to unblock me from the line, please? Oh, if you got blocked in chat on the line, you need to email me and tell me why you were blocked so I can ask the people. You basically have to do the work, though. Otherwise, you get by default. You have to you tell me why you were blocked, that you're not going to do it again, and then I'll talk to the people who blocked you and potentially unblock you. But very few people didn't earn being blocked in chat, so it won't just be a like, oh, okay, we'll just do it. We'll just take your word for it. But we're willing to give people another chance. That's for sure the case. Still waiting. Wow. Last show started a lot quicker. Guys. Yeah. 336-543-2101. We're waiting for you for MAGA. Let's find out if anybody in chat is actually MAGA. Let's take a poll. Are you MAGA?
I don't know anybody in my whole life who has diabetes. That's crazy. Diabetes is super popular or common, not popular, I guess, especially in the US, I believe. It's very common.
Also, you almost certainly do, but a lot of diabetes, for example, type 2 diabetics, if they're doing sufficient management, actually, if they're taking certain medications now, they don't even have to take insulin or do the stuff to lower their resistance, like GLP-1s. You almost certainly do know somebody has diabetes. You just don't know somebody who their diabetes is out in front. But I mean, you might live somewhere super duper healthy and it'd be less likely. But even when I lived in Denver, the healthiest city in the world, I knew diabetics there.
Yeah.
Not in the world, in the US. All right, let's put up this thing. So we're going to put, the poll is up. Are you MAGA? And the answers are yes, I will call. So you can call and defend your MAGA ways. Yes, but I'm scared, because that would be the reason. And no, I'm not MAGA. So, and it looks like we've already got at least some people saying they're MAGA and will call. So we'll look forward to talking to you when you do. Just waiting there is a call in the queue that is going to get screened. So we'll wait on that.
So what have you been working on lately?
Launching all these damn new shows.
Yeah.
We got this new show. We've got, we're going to have a lot more hostilities and Cause I Wannas in the future. We've got Duologues, the debate show. I still am in pre-production, but I'm back to developing the game show for the line. It's going to probably be called The Line Has a Game Show, for the record, people. It's too good. It's simply too good. What's that?
It's an unexpected name. I didn't actually see that coming.
Yeah. We've now got The Line as a podcast. Jimmy Snow as a podcast is returning in a different form. It's going to feature longer conversations with people whom I have either disagreements with or who I want to feature because they are sort of in a controversial sector of something I do support. For example, we are actually having a legal brothel employee come on soon. One moment.
Oh, he's talking to somebody. Okay.
Yeah, you go
Well,
ahead and keep chatting. I gotta go check on the
Okay, no
tech
sweat.
side stuff.
Anyway, so yeah, gonna be doing that thing on Saturday on the Line Patreon. Is gonna be interesting about World War II, about how Hitler took advantage of the religious movements in the area. There were two major religious movements in the area at the time. There was Catholicism and there was Protestantism. 54% Catholic, mostly to the south, I believe. 41% Protestant, mostly to the north. 95% of the country said that they believed in God when asked in a poll. 95%. 3.5%. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They said they were Christian. 95% were Christian. 3.5% said that they believed in God. And then the rest, 1.5%, said that they did not believe in God. They were atheists. It was a very Christian society. Of the Protestant people, most were Lutheran. I think there were 28 districts total, and 19 of them, or somewhere in there, were Lutheran. I think 5 were Reformed Church, which is basically the predecessor to Presbyterian. And the rest were United Church, which is a combination of Lutheran and Reformed Church. Of course, Martin Luther did his whole bit right there in Germany back in the 1500s during the Protestant split. So anyway, when things started to hit the fan, the church was faced with a decision. Do we support Hitler? And somewhere in the vicinity of 15 to 20% of the church decided, yes, we do. And they formed out an entirely new denomination called the German Christians. The German Christians tried to adapt Christianity to Nazi ideology by basically removing de-Judaizing it, is what it was called. They wanted to remove swaths of the Bible that tied it to tied it to Judaism, and they wanted to make it fully its own independent religion. And they claimed that Jesus was maybe not the first anti-Semite, but he was the first Aryan, I think. Anyway, they wrote onto Jesus all the qualities that they loved about him, or they loved about Hitler. And it turned into a huge mess. And there was a very small opposition called the Confessing Church, who were not opposed to Nazi ideology. In fact, the leader voted for the Nazis in 1924, 28, and 33. He was opposed to the fact that the German Christian denomination was violating the confessions, violating their creeds or their oaths or whatever, which is stuff like anybody can come to Jesus and be saved. The Nazi denomination believed that Jews were exempted from that. So that was the complaint of the Confessing Church. But anyway, the opposition to Hitler was very, very tiny. It didn't have much influence, and eventually it got banned. People tend to claim that Catholicism was persecuted by Hitler, by the Nazis, and that's true partially. But on July 20th, 1933, which is pretty early on, they swore loyalty to Hitler. Like the Catholic Church, the Pope, and all of the bishops and everybody all the way down the line swore an oath of loyalty to Hitler and agreed to do whatever it was he wanted, as long as he would give them a few things. Like they had to have control over the school system. Like they wanted to teach about Catholicism in schools. They wanted to make it illegal to wear, like priests' outfits or whatever outside of the religious context and stuff like that. So they signed this oath of loyalty. It's called the Concordat, the Reichskonkordat. And things were going pretty well for a while there, but within just a couple of years, there started to be just a little bit of pushback. And as we can see with Donald Trump, he wants to force people to capitulate to him, everything, all of it. And the Pope is the head of the church. You can't really force the Pope out. So Hitler starts persecuting them. And what did he do? What did he claim that they were doing to persecute them? He said that they were taking advantage of children. Now, there's a reason why he went with they take advantage of children as the accusation instead of, they're getting glow sticks and doing a bunch of Molly or something in like an underground club. He accused them of taking advantage of children because it was the most obvious accusation, because it was true. He directed people that way because that was happening. However, he definitely made some claims about them that were not true. He made a big deal out of things, trumped up charges and everything else. And for 50 years after World War II ended, it's been taboo to accuse the Catholic Church of taking advantage of children because Hitler did that. In fact, the first accusations to come forward after World War II, just, in the 80s, I think, they had to be cleared by the United Nations before they were allowed to move forward with like lawsuits or charges or anything like that because of what happened. And all of the abuse that took place between 1944 and 1980 something, all of that abuse that happened was swept under the rug completely. And the people who suffered will never see any kind of compensation for that. So just yet one more thing that we have to thank Hitler for. Anyway,
yeah, that's it just reminds me of that guy who was on Mehdi Hassan's show, which, by the way, do you want to come on to Alyssa and I for the bonus podcast for the patrons? We're going to talk about that episode of Jubilee with Mehdi Hassan versus all the fascists.
Whole thing on my channel. I'm so down. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on and hang out. But there was that one guy who, when they were like, so you liked the Nazis? He's like, well, I didn't like that they persecuted the Catholic Church. That wasn't great. It's like, wait, that's of the things the Nazis did, that's the one you came up with? And why do you look like the guy himself? He's one of those like hyper happy all the time. Then he tried to run a fucking scam on that Give, Send, Go Nazi GoFundMe thing, where he's like, lost for my political beliefs.
He didn't even get fired, it turns out, right?
Right.
You hear about that?
I think it had been that whatever happened long prior to the actual episode. And so it wasn't as a result of that, like I'm getting canceled for it. It was like, I don't remember though if it was that he didn't get fired or any of that. I just remember that it had nothing to do with that episode, even though they obviously used the still of him from the episode to promote the Give, Send, Go. The whole thing's a fucking grift, people.
It is. Yeah, they're colossal scumbags. So bottom line is that the Catholic Church was persecuted by the Nazis because Hitler wanted to control it more than he was. And the Pope was not like capitulating sufficiently to what Hitler wanted. But he did fall in line. Like he even met with like some official people, like the Pope did, secretly, like in an apartment building, to try to get them to stop persecuting him, and said, we'll be the best friends the Nazis have ever had if you just stop, charging us with these crimes and stuff like that. It was just corrupt and crooked all the way down and just vile. Yeah.
And here's my surprise face. And now we're doing it again, and here's my surprise face.
Right?
It just doesn't surprise anymore. Let me get the title fixed. We've got somebody waiting on hold here. We'll check them, but I got to fix some title things. There's lots of stuff actually happening that at some point I'm going to have to go for a minute to fix some things that will affect the next show that's a producer's running into. So there's,
Okay.
it's fun running the production of a whole and then trying to like actually be on one of the shows because shit always happens like this. But yeah, people, we are going to take our first call here in a minute. But if you would like to call now, at least 4 of you, it would appear. Let me double check that poll. But last I checked, I think it was at least 4 of you said that you are MAGA and you're going to call 336-543-2101 or use the web caller in the description if you're not in the United States. You said you're going to call and yet you haven't. So is it that MAGA are also liars? Be still my beating heart. Say it ain't so. It couldn't
liars
be.
And scared.
Right. Like just fearful scaredies. Fearful scaredy cats. Where are you? Where are the MAGAs who said, let's see, we've got a 3% response rate with 250 votes. So that would be 7 or 8 people, depending on how it rounds, probably 8, who have said, yes, I'm MAGA and I will call in. And only 2% admitted that they're MAGA and are too scared to call in. Call in. We'd love to hear why we're wrong. Let's have a conversation about it. As long as you act in good faith, you answer the questions asked of you, you don't try and take control of the show like some people like to try and do and be like, yeah, you've been hosting for a long time and are practiced and well-versed on how to actually direct this conversation. I'd like to keep non-answering your questions, obfuscate, and see if I can hide behind some Jordan Peterson level sophistry. If you don't pull any of that shit, we got your back and we will make sure you got to make your points. What's that?
Don't be a snowflake. Come on, get on here.
Don't be a snowflake. Get on. I never thought I'd see the day. Yeah, I did. I always knew, actually. I honestly think MAGA people are only brave enough to put their beliefs out there if they can basically yell it through a keyboard in all caps, and then their responses when challenged can just be slurs toward the individual. I think that the number one reason why MAGA people aren't calling right now, if they genuinely are in the chat and saying that they will, is that they know they won't be able to get past the first level. They know that they'll be able to say, well, Donald Trump is doing a great thing with the tariffs, and then we are going to tell them why that's actually ridiculous, and they won't be able to rebut any of it. They'll be like, no, but the tariffs are good, because they aren't. Donald Trump is a bad president. Donald Trump is a terrible president. He's terrible for the United States. Donald Trump, and by the way, I'm not a Democrat. I don't support the Democrats. I kind of think the Democrats are scumbags, but they're better than MAGA, and they're better than Donald Trump. Kamala Harris would have been a much better president than Donald Trump. Does not mean a good president, but a much better than Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is basically as bad of a president as one can imagine. So if you'd like to call in and challenge that, you can do so now and tell me why I'm wrong. Tell Owen why he's wrong about any of the stuff he's talking about. What's that?
Let's have it. Lay it on me.
Yeah. Let's hear why Owen's wrong about Hitler. Whatever. 336-543-2101. The lines are open. We haven't sent out a single block signal, people who have been blocked in the past. None of that. You have lines open and ready to go if you are ready to take on the challenge. But so far, even the people who say they are have not called in. And that is I think I know why. I'm just saying. I think I know why.
Hey, let me ask you something. Do you know if it's plausible or possible or feasible to multi-stream both a regular 16:9 and also a 9:16, vertical and horizontal?
It is possible, and it's not great for the system we use. And also in the experiments we've done in the past, it seems to be that splitting the algorithm that way, where it's say you get 1,000 from each because you do that, you have 1,000 on one, 1,000 on the other. If you do just one, you don't lose the full 1,000 of the other. And you're actually set off better for exposure after if you have 1,500 people in just one than having 1,000 in each, because of the way notifications, all that stuff works. But yes, it is possible. I've experimented with in the past. Let's go ahead and talk to this caller. It looks like I'm going to let you tell us how to pronounce it, because even the guide I have is a little bit tough. Is it Seghild? Seghild.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a weird Old Norse name.
I'll be honest, the reason why I was reluctant was I thought it might be one of those times where people's calling in and they're trying to get you to like secretly say, in this case, it seems it's close to a German phrase that would be related to what we're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that's true.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what do you got for us?
It's my name.
Okay.
So I have an issue regarding a friend of mine in the U.S. It's someone I've known for I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. He's autistic, and like how would you say it? My brother's autistic as well. They are very much alike, but they are at the same time. This guy who's in the U.S., he is much more isolated than and much less outgoing than my brother is. But as of late, and I started to notice it about maybe a year ago, this issue started to come up because this is a guy who is genuinely friendly towards everyone he comes across. He is exceedingly happy over having friends and want to make friends with everyone. But somewhere along the line, he became convinced that children in the U.S. were, specifically one child that he was very involved in what went on with them, had been brainwashed by one of their parents that they were trans. And at first it was like that was the only issue was this specific kid. So that was like easily overlooked. But then the election came, and this friend of mine, he voted for Trump because of the trans thing. And as time has gone on, first of all, I've started to know it's as if he started to accept more and more atrocious acts on part of Trump because of this trans thing, and he's convinced that Democrats are in a cult, and there is a trans cult, and Democrats are fascist. And I have tried to talk with him about this on a few occasions, but it's very, very difficult. And ever since the elections, from a moral standpoint, I don't know how to handle it. It also hurts me to no end to see this guy who is just an amazing person go down this hateful.
Well, say not an amazing person. Like, what is the definition of an amazing person? If a person is going for, the first thing I think you need to do is let go that your friend is either who you thought your friend was or isn't capable of becoming a terrible person. Everybody started their life as a cute little baby, right? Every puma that ever like ate a house cat was a cute little kitten once upon a time. So letting go of that idea that either you didn't know something before or something has changed is going to be helpful to you. And what you probably have to do first is figure out where your boundaries are going to be related to what this person is going to be saying and how he's going to be behaving around you. Because falling into the Trump MAGA cult, which is the actual cult here, is where misogyny is going to be rampant. And that misogyny, it says here, your pronouns are she, her, I assume you're a woman, that misogyny will easily get transferred onto you. So the first thing you need to worry about is protecting yourself. As far as handling him, you're describing how do I debunk essentially every conspiracy theory he reads, and he can read hundreds of them in a day. He is compelled by anecdotal evidence from people just making claims on the internet. He's compelled by strongman personalities, charisma, all that kind of shit. So just sitting there and like hearing what he has to say and having a rebuttal for each specific individual little thing, very few people are equipped to do that kind of stuff. And the ones that are probably work at the line. So if you don't work at the line, you might not be. That's mostly a joke. But you're probably not equipped to handle it like claim by claim by claim, when it could be literally just whatever. People like Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk love to come to debates with obscure statistics that it's like, I know my opponent won't have had time to research it. And so basically the audience is, because I'm citing statistics, is going to take my word for it that this is a real statistic and that we're interpreting it correctly. And it'll be this sort of, it's a sort of debate tactic that is dishonest, even when using statistics that might be somewhere rooted in truth, but so often comes with their opining or changing of things, like the way Charlie Kirk will round up significantly numbers when talking about the percentage of black crime in America and black incarcerated people. And as I've said to these people many times, if your point is so strong, why do you have to rely on hyperbole to make it? It doesn't make any sense to me. If you'd be able to make the point without hyperbole, if it is as strong as you seem to think that it is. Now, as far as actually handling him, if you're wanting to try and have those debates and stuff, but you may already be in a position where he has figured out how to bypass on a personal level. It's why arguing with family members can be quite difficult. This isn't a family member. It sounds like this is a friend, but they can find where your buttons are and figure out how to get you out, how they can successfully obfuscate and get you from we're having an actual debate about the facts to like, okay, you actually did just debunk something, but before I even have to acknowledge that you did, I've now said this inflammatory thing and taken the conversation another direction. And if you're going to be responsible here, clearly you're going to take it on that direction and not slow me down and make me go, okay, wait, we'll get there in a minute. But first you have to acknowledge that you were wrong about that. And usually that means knowing how to set up questions in advance. So if you're going to ask a person, they're saying something like, well, I voted because on trans issues, don't just say trans people only make up less than whatever percentage of the population, which the overall population, it's like 1% for the whole population. You could say Gen Z, it's a little bit higher. Will have some sort of, not necessarily like, they respect the greater spectrum. So they may be trans, non-binary. They may have a non, trying to think of what the phrases are. I'm always bad at remembering them, but they may there are trans people who they may not do anything significant that you would even notice much difference. And so they may just be living their life in gender fluidity or whatever else, however they may identify in there. Don't just say, well, that's only this percentage, so blah, blah, blah. You generally want to set up those people who are acting as though they have the facts on their side to reveal that they don't, and then make them acknowledge it. So if you have a statistic like that is the type of stat, not an obscure one, like we talk about how Ben and Charlie do in the past, but you have a stat that you can bring to them to challenge them. Don't just give it to them and then let their little wheels go. Okay, how am I going to throw this away or whatever else? Ask them for the stat first. We saw, ironically, two garbage people. Tucker Carlson did this to Ted Cruz. He set him up and made him reveal that this thing you should know, like the population of the country you're trying to topple, set him up to make him admit he doesn't even know this, and yet that would be a pivotal bit of information that he should know beforehand.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's probably my best advice, is to more worry about your boundaries and stuff, and then tell your friend to call our shows. We'll handle him.
Yeah, and also, I actually have some family members who have gone down this rabbit hole, and these are genuinely really good people that I know, but they get sucked into this one little wedge issue, this thing that kind of makes them start following down this path that leads to all this other stuff. And it's not even malice or hate or anything. Now they're buying into this insane framing. Like, if there were really teachers in the United States who were secretly like trying to like show children adult entertainment, obviously we would all be against that. That's not what's happening. Nobody ever tried to do that, right? But the reason that these people like Charlie Kirk and others frame it that way is because they need that hyperbole, or nobody will care.
Yeah.
If they were honest about their beliefs and their positions and reality, nobody would ever listen to a word they had to say. So there are some people in my life who genuinely believe the insane, twisted, whacked out stories that are told, and that starts leading them down a path of being a genuinely bad person because they're justifying this absolutely terrible stuff. It's like a really, honestly, truly slippery slope to go, down this conspiracy path. So maybe your friend hasn't gone down that far. I don't know. Maybe they just believe the nonsense that was being spread around about like trans people, like trying to brainwash children or whatever, incorrectly. And if they were set straight with the factual information, then they would change their mind. I don't know how far along they are, but you got to protect yourself and others, of course, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing that, and this is why I called, because I don't really have anyone here that I can discuss these things with, and there are so many different paths to sort out, because the way I've come to view it or accept it as is, I have a friend who, and as Jimmy pointed out, may not be a if you hold these ideas, maybe you're not a great person.
Sig, I do want to jump in just for a second. I'm gonna urge you to try and be prompt. You're very happy to talk to you. We're just getting a lot of details and a lot of setup and stuff, and we do now have some other calls we want to move into. So if you can just try and be a little more succinct, would appreciate it.
Yes. I view it as someone being in a cult.
Mm-hmm.
And on the one hand, I'm thinking about the future and how am I going to be viewed at in the future when we have a country that is imitating Germany in the 30s and 40s. Do I want to be on that chopping block because of this friendship? Of
Absolutely.
course not.
Right.
And I also don't want to leave my friends in a freaking cult if I can help not to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Trying maybe some street epistemology. I don't know if you're familiar, but sometimes that helps people kind of pull others out, make them realize that their beliefs are based on faith. And if it was based on evidence, and they wouldn't believe it anymore. Maybe check that out on YouTube, some street epistemology stuff. It's been really valuable for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Zig.
Yeah, no, I very much appreciate your input and taking my call.
Great.
Absolutely.
This isn't something that's gonna have a resolution here now, but it feels really good to have vented some and gotten some feedback.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you for calling.
Thanks for calling, and have your friend call us. We'll appreciate you. Bye.
I will try to.
Great.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
All right. We've got the first MAGA supporter to put their money where their mouth is on today's show. Let's bring on T in Florida. T, you are on the line with Jimmy and Owen, and you want to talk about Trump.
Sure. I'm T in Miami. I'm an African American.
Okay.
And
take your word for it.
Basically, I guess you would call myself a MAGA.
Okay. So you're full in, not just a conservative, not just that you believe in fiscal conservative. You're full in on the MAGA movement, Project 2025, tariffs, reducing regulations for corporation, expanding the tax relief for the rich. You like the whole thing, or do you want to start with where maybe you divert a little bit?
Yeah, if you want, I could just give you a quick breakdown a little bit of what a lot of people who consider themselves MAGA to be today. Today, if you want to call it.
Sure, I'm familiar. I'd be more interested in because everybody's going to say, no doubt that there's a version of a MAGA person who would say like, no, he just got one of them wrong. So I'd be more interested in you as a member of MAGA than something that someone else could just be like, that doesn't represent MAGA and he's pretending it does. Including the fact that there will be MAGA people who would say MAGA aren't for you because you're African American. Unless you're African American in the sense Elon is.
No, I'm black. So,
okay, there we go.
But basically, what people don't realize is that originally when Trump went ahead and won the election, on his first term, he came out with a slogan, "Make America Great Again." After a while, that became MAGA.
Yep.
So he lost the second election. And then when he was actually campaigning for the second election, he admitted that, he made some mistakes. He claimed at that time, hey, you know what? I surrounded myself with some wrong people. And at the end of the day, they kind of screwed him over. And in a way, you could say also, he kind of screwed America over. Basically, that was what he was trying to say. Hey, I made some mistakes.
So it's everyone else's fault?
Right.
That you think it's other people's fault that things went sideways and not Trump's fault?
Right. He had an unprecedented large amount of his own cabinet, which were a part of his inner circle prior, turn their backs on him. And is it your contention that the problems there was the cabinet he chose while promising to be the guy who knows all the best people and will pick the best people, and that's who he's picked, that the problem there was the appointees and not the appointer? Is that your contention?
No. Well, he admitted he made some mistakes.
Well, did he? Would we both call them mistakes for the same reason? He's calling them mistakes because he wasn't able to do his radical agenda, and that there were what we refer to as adults in the room stopping him from acting like a bull in a china shop. That's what he's calling mistakes. I'm saying that actually isn't why having a right-wing administration in general, I would call a mistake. So I'm not sitting here saying I like anybody there, but the fact that Bill Barr wouldn't let him overturn the election using any sort of power of the attorney general was actually a positive thing, not a negative thing, which you've admitted Donald Trump lost. So I assume you actually agree Bill Barr not allowing him to use the power of the attorney general to pretend he didn't lose.
Oh, no, it was a good thing. At all. I think, in my opinion, I think Bill Barr failed miserably in this position when it came to the time to investigate the election. But bear with me.
Wait. So did Trump lose or not? Because you said he lost.
What I mean, he lost to the point where he was not in power. You could.
But you don't believe. So you believe he didn't lose the election. You believe more people voted for him, and the Electoral College, had it been counted accurately, that Donald Trump would have won a second term in 2020.
Yes, I wholeheartedly believe that he did not lose.
And then you believe that the 4 years of power that the Democrats then had, having the power to rig the election prior, apparently, that they were not able to further enforce that power and lock it in, and that they were able to actually lose again, despite the fact that it wasn't a blowout elections, less overall people voted than the election prior. So you can't say it's like, yeah, because the country came out and flooded it with votes. the apparatus that would have given Biden the millions more votes than they needed to, that disappeared over the 4 years that this corrupt entity was in power, and they lost the election in 2024 because what would have prevented them from rigging the election again and letting Donald Trump back in?
I'll be honest with you, going down the rabbit hole as far as why in other words, you're saying basically if they could rig it once, why don't they rig it again? Is that what you're asking me?
Sure. In fact, I would say right now we're seeing the Republicans go, we've tried to rig it before and not been as successful. So we're literally going to rig the midterms right now and do an unprecedented midterm redistricting. And that's what in the state I live in right now, you guys are literally trying to rig. Your side is trying to literally rig the election through gerrymandering, which I think is actually going to backfire big time. Because I think now that I think that it's going to lead to Republicans wanting to make gerrymandering illegal. But we can talk about that in a minute. But yes, why would the Democrats? Why would the Democrats have lost the power to rig the election by 2024?
Once again, that's going down, believe it or not, that's going down a complete different rabbit hole for me to go ahead and explain that. But what I'd like to do at this point
you can't do the surface?
I'm calling up, you mentioned MAGA.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, all right. So then if you don't want to explain it, I'm just going to tell you that I think my questions are revealing a ginormous hole in the way you assess your claims, and that more like a conspiracy theorist would do, the things which you need to be true to not admit defeat, and because it's a more interesting and sexy answer than the simple answer is what you will adhere to.
Jimmy, I'm trying to stay focused here.
You as the caller should try to stay focused then on the questions being asked of you.
No. But you asked me a question, but I'm trying to answer. But once again, we got to stay focused. You asked me about MAGA. So what I'm trying to do is give you a quick, 30, 40 seconds description of what basically MAGA is today.
Okay, so I'll re-summarize then, and we'll get back on track. I'll bring us back there on your, even though I wanted to go this way, but we're not going that way. T is calling in. T is a black man who accepts MAGA. He believes that Donald Trump, while he initially said he lost, doesn't actually believe he lost fairly, thinks that election was rigged, but would like to return to what his MAGA beliefs are. And now go ahead and continue, T.
Okay, great. So basically, once again, Trump admitted, look, you know what, I screwed up. I made some mistakes. I put in the wrong people, blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. So when he won the next election, which is this current election, a good portion of his voters was watching. They were watching really closely on who he was starting to surround himself with. So what actually happened was there was I forgot who it was. He was going to appoint another deep swamp person he had in the past that he claimed screwed him. So when MAGA made an uproar, they're like, no way. And who is the lady that he was running against? What's
Kamala Harris?
She was signing. No, not Kamala. I'm sorry, running against in the primaries.
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley. He was talking about, maybe we should get Nikki Haley as vice president. So when he started for MAGA, that's crazy talk. So when you started talking that way, a whole population of voters was watching and paying attention. And then when they realized that Trump was kind of leaning towards back into the swamp, that's when you went from Trump supporter, Republican, to MAGA.
And I would argue that this is your worst, even worse than the debate argument. There was even a MAGA person who called the last show who agreed with me. He said he drained the swamp, and now the swamp is swampier than ever. For example, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, is having joint press conferences with him because now the Attorney General isn't just serving at the pleasure that the president can fire, is serving as the president's personal attorney. So now we know that under Pam Bondi and the FBI, there's actually a system in place as they're evaluating all of us. I assume you too wanted the Epstein files released, and yet they're not going out because they're still in a process by which they are flagging uses of Trump's name and redacting and removing it.
Can I ask you a question?
You can in a moment.
Can I ask you a question?
You can in a moment as soon as I finish the point here. It is clearly swampier than ever, and it is a weird MAGA brag that often comes up that they like the idea of outsiders. But for me, I don't. I like pilots to fly my plane. I like chefs to cook my food. I like doctors to treat my injuries. And on that level, a person who is willing to kiss the ring but does not otherwise have a medical qualification, and in fact is regarded by the medical community as the opposite of good for medicine, is the head of HHS. So it seems to be draining the swamp is if you will admit unerring loyalty to Donald Trump, you get to stay. And if you stop doing that and you start to get shaky, he will start threatening you and coming after you and publicly shaming you, as he did recently with Tulsi Gabbard, until you overnight change the song you were singing before and start saying, actually, all that stuff I said was bogus. Donald Trump is just right because I want to keep my job and my ability to run for president on his base later. So that is my contention to what you've said. Now, what was your question?
Okay. Yeah, my question is, how do you think MAGA feels about Trump not releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files?
So far, it seems to be the first thing that's ever made him have a dip in support. However, I did see the poll the other day that said 47% of Trump voters would not change their vote at all if they had concrete proof, not just that he's in the files, but that he is a pedophile, that he actually sexually abused children. So I'm sure you guys want it out. However, the fact that it wouldn't, even if he was fully sexually assaulting children, wouldn't change half of MAGA's support, as well as then the other levels from there. The fact that we already know enough about him that he was the one that Jeffrey Epstein was apparently sourcing some of the girls he was trafficking, and how close they were, how much time, the weird things he would say on radio shows, both about Jeffrey Epstein or just like about girls, about Teen USA, the fucking video we have of him flirting with like a 10-year-old girl, talking about how he's going to be dating her in 10 years. It might have even been an 8-year-old girl. All of this stuff points to, as I said on the beginning of our podcast yesterday, the line is a podcast. Why are so many people saying Donald Trump is a pedophile just because he's behaving exactly like a pedophile would? There's so much smoke and you can feel the fire, and yet most of MAGA has still gone like, but we haven't technically seen the flames yet, even if our skin is burning off. And part of it is that we burnt out our own eyes and are blind. It's not meaningful to me when y'all say like, well, we want those released too. Enough has actually been released that this guy should have clearly been condemned as a sexual predator, and you guys should move on to somebody who doesn't suck. He just put a sexual predator in front of a children's issue.
I agree. All right. Now, I just want to mention to you, though, polls can be very misleading. And sometimes a lot of people, look at the poll.
We all know that.
I'll give you an example. Right. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying you can take those polls and throw it in the garbage.
And I can say back, you don't have better data than that. So I'm saying the best data we do have right now is the polling of MAGA. And if you can give me better than that, sure. But just you like saying like, but I've got a Republican vibe of me and my friends, that doesn't do it for me.
And also, are you saying that you don't think, you're telling me that you think if MAGA got actual footage of Trump like assaulting a kid, that they would leave him, that they would not stick by his side? That's what the poll
happening. There is a civil war happening right now inside MAGA. And
that's absurd.
People don't really realize how. Let me tell you something. Like I said, the reason why it's called MAGA was there was already this sort of division away.
It was
called
MAGA because he stole the term from Reagan. That's why he wanted to tie himself to Reagan. But okay.
No, what I'm saying, the group, the voters who named themselves, who end up. I understand where it originated from. But what I'm trying to say is that there was already a rift. There was already a partial separation. And what people don't realize, this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, they're like, oh, that's what's going to wake up the MAGA, whatever. For a lot of the MAGA people, that was the nail in the coffin.
Why wasn't it for you?
Why wasn't it for me? What?
Well, you're here still defending him. So let's get back to your beliefs, because you're talking about it's almost like you're trying to defend that MAGA is reasonable because a lot of people are torn up about it, but you haven't turned on Trump, correct?
No. Once again, here's my point. My point is MAGA is no longer Trump.
Okay,
MAGA is Make America Great Again.
Great. What are you?
And the thing is, people don't realize it took on a life of its own.
What are
It's
you?
now MAGA.
What are you?
I'm MAGA.
Are you pro-Trump?
Am I pro-Trump?
Yeah.
I would right now at this point I'm pro-MAGA, which is at this point.
Okay, wait. But yes or no? Are you pro-Trump? Are you pro-Trump?
Am I pro-Trump?
If let's say a phone call you made right now would result in him resigning and JD Vance would become the president, and all you have to do is make a phone call, would you make that phone call?
I'd make the phone call.
Okay, that's excellent. What if a phone call you made right now would actually, instead of he just resigns, would you make the phone call that at the end of that phone call, the investigation is launched that results in the impeachment of Donald Trump? Would you get Donald Trump impeached if you had the power to? Yes. JD Vance would still become president.
I'll be honest with you. Maybe he should go to jail if he's found guilty.
Well, he has been found guilty of some stuff already. How do you feel about him not facing trial in Georgia then?
Well, here's the thing. Most politicians don't go to jail. Listen, if you never want to go to jail, become a politician.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because check this out. When the Democrats are running the show, right? They do illegal stuff, right? And when Republicans come in, they're gonna throw them in jail. They don't do shit. And vice versa.
Rob Blavoyevich, how do you say it? Is that it? Blavoyevich literally went to jail as a Democrat for a pay-to-play scheme in Illinois where he tried to sell Barack Obama's seat, and at the time leading up to that point was liked well enough. Elliot, what's his name? Elliot Spitzer. I don't know if he went to jail, but he faced a ton of legal issues and got a lot of legal penalties for being an anti-prostitute mayor and engaging in prostitution. And I get it. She was cute.
Then that one guy, who was that one dude in Congress who had the gold bars that he got from Egypt? Who was selling.
Yeah, that dude's not going. Things are not going good for him right now. I don't know what you're saying. And by the way, again, I'm not a Democrat, so I'm not here to defend the Democrats. The Democrats are corrupt assholes who make themselves feel better by putting Band-Aids on gushing wounds that are free bleeding. But Republicans look at those wounds and go, you know what would help that wound is if we opened it more and let more blood out. That's the difference.
I just want to mention to you, the two people that you mentioned that created whatever illegal actions, it was done by them manipulating the system, not screwing the American people. If you screw the American people, you got immortality. Okay? If you sit there and you did some stuff and you end up like Nancy Pelosi, she's worth $200 million. You know, I'm just saying as an example.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene is right now very upset that people have found out she's become a multimillionaire for the same thing she was calling out Nancy Pelosi for. But what you're describing what does it mean to screw the people? Oh, do you mean something like okay, I think I know what you mean. You're saying like if you screw the people by like taking their vote away and putting in your own person instead, like that's taking the people's vote away so you won't go to prison. That's what kind of thing you mean?
Well, as far as the type of laws that were broken by on both sides.
Right. So that is exactly what Rob Blavoyevich went to. I'm just going to call him Blago from now on because I'm going to keep saying his name wrong. Went to prison for. It actually was screwing the people by selling the seat and not going through the democratic process and reflecting the will of the people and giving them the senator they wanted. So I don't actually... Yes, most people in Congress have done something that is a level of corrupt that we should make it illegal, and perhaps they should go to jail. Insider training is crazy. Sorry, what?
Okay, I'll give you an example. All right, I don't know if you heard of Fast and Furious, where basically we were selling weapons to the Mexican drug cartel. I don't know if you heard anything about that.
Yes, I used to live on Fox News, and I used to believe it's bullshit.
Well, the Iran-Contra. You know, where it wasn't true. It didn't happen. That didn't happen. What? I'm sorry.
The Fox News version of what happened Fast and Furious is far from the actual truth. Iran-Contra did also happen. And that was, and Ronald Reagan absolutely should have gone to prison for it.
And what I'm trying to say is, my point is, we're talking about major crimes being committed by our government. Yet
in that case, Ronald Reagan through Ollie North.
Right. So what I'm trying, even look at George Bush, weapons of mass destruction.
Yep.
And then when they get over there, well, you know, we kinda lied
Obama
about
and
that.
George Bush and Bill Clinton, I would put them all in prison as war criminals.
But guess what? It's never going to happen.
Yeah, no shit.
It's never going to happen.
We should
It's not
definitely.
going to happen in our generation. What do we do now?
Now,
Throw up our hands and go like, let's not go for a better world that actually has equality, that
No,
tries to
here's
fix the
my
wealth
point, though.
distribution in our country. Just like give up.
I'm sorry. Here's my point. My point is,
I'm sorry.
right? When you see these people on TV, right, and they're like, "Oh, you're this, you're that," they're playing golf with each other. You know what I mean? So when you're like, "Oh, the Democrats," right? So people are like, "Oh, I hate the Republicans."
Who are you
I'm a
saying?
Democrat."
Oh, the
And I'm-
Democrat. Who are you? You're the straw man is not sitting at this table right now. You're talking to me who has said multiple times the Democrats are scumbags. They're just slightly less. I'd rather eat a bowl of shit than 5 bowls of steaming hot acidic diarrhea, right? They're the bowl of shit. The Republicans are the 5 bowls of steaming hot. You have to work with what you have for a moment. You can't starve, though shit arguably is worse than starve. But anyway, I digress. The metaphor is breaking a little bit there because you can't eat poop. But you can't just then give up. I'm still looking to feed the people, nutritious food. So if we have to start with going with the bowl of shit and then try to work our way up to saltine crackers, which arguably might be worse than a bowl of shit too, but work your way toward what you need to work toward. I don't, what is your argument then overall? Like, yeah, the Republicans are corrupt, but corruption is like how things are done.
Well,
so I'm just trying to get my nut. I want to get my nut out of it.
Here's my point. My point is they're working together. They work together.
No.
And the thing is, look on
Sorry.
the outside. Let me
Hold on a second, just a second. I apologize here, but you think that Democrats are working like with Republicans, like Donald Trump and his weird little nutcases, and all the inner circle is working with like Nancy Pelosi and whoever else, Hakeem Jeffries. You think they're working together?
Is there a conspiracy you've met that you didn't take home to bed?
Listen closely, though. What I'm trying to say is, if you listen, what I'm trying to say is this: in the large scale of things, they're working hand in hand. So, in other words, they don't get along, right? But somehow, some way, when it comes to the agenda, whatever that agenda is, they somehow unite and come together.
That's different.
And somehow pass these bills.
Okay, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene and I both want Gaza to end. The Gaza conflict to end. She wants to because she's an anti-Semite. I want to because I'm a humanist. That doesn't mean we're working hand in hand because you can say we have a common goal of that individual thing. And in fact, I wouldn't march with her because then as far as I'm concerned, my march has become a Nazi march. If you don't throw the Nazis out of your march, you're a Nazi. Okay? So when it comes to, you're describing a different concept. At the end of the day, Republicans and Democrats are both corporatist shills that are trying to maintain their own personal power. They do not vote in reflection of what their constituents actually want unless it is useful to them keeping power. And power and money is by far what it's for, and they are both serving the oligarchy. And Donald Trump coming in and removing regulations from the oligarchy has made the foundation upon which it is literally risen the foundation. Your access to breaking down the oligarchy, you now need much taller ladders to get anywhere near them because Donald Trump is president.
Okay. Quick question. Now, when Biden and Kamala Harris was in power, did they continue on supplying weapons to Israel for the war in Gaza?
Wait, again.
Now, listen.
Wait, T, hang on. Let me pause you, and I will let you make your next point, I promise. I'll let you make your next point. But T, I am begging you to start debating me, Jimmy Snow, and Owen Morgan on our views and not the straw man that you want to debate. I do not think that Joe Biden was good for Israel. I'd throw him in prison for supplying a genocide. I do not think, or good on the Israel-Gaza issue, I do not think Kamala Harris would have been good. Better than Trump, but not good. The thing I would have preferred Harris in that scenario over, why I would have preferred is Harris, you can actually potentially bully into changing and at least being a little better eventually. And potentially, when public sentiment is such that it threatens her reelection, potentially actually stop supplying weapons to Israel because she would fear losing power. Donald Trump has no such fear because he doesn't even have the mind capable of evaluating the things that should make him afraid. He's not afraid of losing power. And now his personal worth, because of honestly one of the biggest schemes that no one's talking about, his meme coin scheme, which has literally created 40% of his personal wealth since being president. He is having billions of dollars pumped into his meme coin by foreign entities, totally breaking the emoluments clause, by the way. But as you've already said, you'd impeach him if you could. So you agree he's a corrupt piece of shit. So we're coming back to MAGA. But please,
right.
You think you're going to get me on the, like, our two options were Trump or Harris. Harris would have been better.
Anything. Right, but here's my point.
Of course, I agree. Harris sucked on Israel also.
Okay, great. Well, here's my point. My point is weapons were being supplied to Israel for Gaza underneath the Democrats, right?
Yep.
And guess what? Weapons are still being supplied to them through Trump.
Okay,
so
now what else is different? What else changed? What else changed? Because you don't get to just do a 1-to-1 and be like, this technically is true, and ignore the fact that humanitarian aid distribution went down, and that as soon as Trump took office, clearly Israel took off any breaks they thought were there, because Biden was at least broadcasting some level of, you don't get to go completely bonkers there. And now now nothing is stopping them. The distribution of humanitarian aid, and now also the killing of journalists and children that are grabbing food from supply drops. Those have all gone up since Trump took office.
Right. Well, they got rid of, believe it or not, they got rid of journalists a long time ago, to be honest with you. There's very few journalists inside that area. They kicked them out a long time ago because they said it was...
No. You're describing kicked out, which sure, you could say that. I'm describing murdering.
Well, that too, and then whoever survived,
the distinction's important.
Well, okay, no problem. So going back to what I was saying, in other words, what I'm trying to say is, Democrat or Republican, at the end of the day, the agenda is always the mission's always going to be accomplished. Let me give you an example. There's a famous saying, it's called problem, reaction, solution. Basically, one, they create the problem. Two, we as the people react. Three, they come out with the solution. So I'll give you an example how one hand washes the other.
You can't do 9. I'll give you an examples in a row. We have to take a stop. We have to take a second and stop, because you're just using broad generalizations, and you've basically acknowledged at least a dozen times that the point you were going on was undermined by something I introduced to you or Owen introduced to you. And then you just went on like you weren't corrected. So let's just go down the list of things. If Democrats were in power, would women have lost their abortion rights in the number of states they've lost?
If Kamala Harris was still gotten power, she won the election now? What do you mean? Because
No. If Trump had never become president, because this was Trump and MAGA's doing. So you can say first term or third term, or the results of Trump's term, like putting in Supreme Court justices. So if Trump had not come to power and MAGA hadn't become the dominant political power in the country, would Roe v. Wade have been overturned?
I'm not sure. I can't say yes or no.
Of course you're sure. You're pretending not to be sure. If the Republicans hadn't fucking cheated back in 2016 and stopped Merrick Garland from getting on the Supreme Court, if they had just honored the Constitution back then, it wouldn't have been overturned. So let alone Donald Trump then getting in and doing his replacements and getting to take Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was selfishly staying on the court way too long, getting to replace her. Of course, Roe v. Wade wouldn't have been overturned, unless you're trying to pretend it's like, well, but what if the aliens decided to attack around that time and then we decided to change power, like coming up with some bogus thing. Obviously, the reasonable answer is no, that wouldn't have happened. Right now, Obergefell is about to be, Obergefell has been officially taken on and requested to be overturned. There is a chance this conservative court will overturn it. If MAGA hadn't come to power, would queer people like myself have been put at risk of losing their marriage? I would no longer have the right to marry Owen if that gets overturned. If Republicans hadn't come to power, would I have lost that right?
So basically, you're asking me a question.
Yes, it was the part at the end. If Republicans hadn't come to power, would Obergefell be in danger?
Well, when it comes to Republicans and Democrats, I just want to let you know
Are you going to answer the question?
they're not always elected. They're selected.
Are
what
you
I'm
going
trying
to
to say- I'll
answer
give you
the
an example.
question?
Okay. No.
Okay.
But basically,
Oh,
they're
Bergefell would
elected,
not
they're
be in
selected.
danger if Republicans hadn't come to power. Right.
Yes, if Republicans have the top power,
So
that
there
wouldn't-
is
that
a
wouldn't be an
difference
issue.
between Republicans and Democrats. Under Republicans,
No, I didn't say
Bergefell
there-
is in danger. Under
There's a difference
Democrats, they
between a
wouldn't
hammer
have
and a
been.
nail.
What?
But check this out. There's a difference between a hammer and a nail, but they're still tools used by the carpenter. So,
And who's
yes,
the carpenter?
one
Oh,
plays a
please
role.
tell me. Wait, in this analogy, who is the carpenter?
I'm literally a woodworker. I'm going to wreck you on this metaphor too.
Those who are actually running the show. The
Who
real
is it?
people running the
Who?
show
Is
Is
behind
there a
the scenes,
group?
the people
Is
that
it a
we don't
group
know.
behind the scenes?
Who is it?
Like, what do they share in common? This group that pulls the strings like puppet masters.
Well, if you ever get a chance, look at the World Economic Forum.
Okay.
Look at the people who's talking about the future of the planet. Look at the people who's talking about universal basic income. You look at the people who's talking about that AI is going to take over. And then we
Okay.
need to
And
go
you're
ahead and
saying
speed up the
you
process.
think that okay,
The
you're
World
telling me you
Economic Forum.
believe in the Great Reset conspiracy theory then, right?
Which kind of Great Reset? There's a lot of interpretations of the Great
T,
Reset. But give me
in the
yours.
last year, what percentage of Alex Jones's media do you think you've consumed?
I watch Alex Jones.
I
watch
know
Alex
you
Jones.
I was
Knock
aware.
me over with a
Yeah.
feather.
I have to ask you, do you think
okay.
that Hillary Clinton is possessed by a demon and that people, when they get close to her, report smelling the sulfur coming off of her because of her demon relation?
That I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
All right.
But
Well, at
going
least
back
you
to
don't
what I was
believe
saying,
everything Alex Jones said. Do you think they're putting chemicals in the water that are turning the friggin' frogs gay?
Please say yes.
I'm dying
I'm
to hear.
not a big proponent of that. But then again, I'm not a chemist, so I'm not.
How
a
can a
biologist.
frog turn gay? Could you explain that to me? Because frogs literally will change their gender, their sex based on like what's necessary. They'll become male or female if they need to make eggs. That's like how frogs work. So how would a frog
you know what?
become gay?
I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
whatever chemical that they put in speeds up the process that would normally, instead of nature doing it, the chemicals put it in and it speeds up the process. You know, let's be fair now. If a woman wants to be a man or whatever, vice versa, don't they give them drugs to do that? I'm just saying, right? No? Don't they give them
If they want to
drugs?
transition and change their physical features, yeah, sure, or
Well, at the end of the day,
their
it's
experience.
still a drug or a
No.
Yeah,
chemical.
is that the drug that they were saying? Were they putting testosterone? And by the way, gender identity and sex are not sexual orientation. They're completely separate from sexual orientation. I just want to know how the frogs got to be gay. Well, you do accept that Alex Jones lied about those Sandy Hook kids, right? That Sandy Hook was an actual person murdering children, or do you actually still maintain that that was a deep state operation
I
with
don't know.
state actors?
I haven't looked deep into it as far as that.
So
He
the
had
thing
one
that
opinion.
the thing that your news guy that you get clearly a lot of your information from is
Not my
on the
news
hook
guy,
for
not
billions
if I
of
listen to
dollars.
him.
You're repeating all of his propaganda.
Yeah,
He's on the hook
he's
for
not-
billions of dollars for that propaganda. I
repeating
believe
propaganda.
has even confessed to parts of it not being true, and that he, or at the very least, it says he was wrong about it. But you haven't looked into this thing that could undermine his credibility at all.
Even apologize to the parents.
Yeah.
People could listen. I'll apologize to parents too if somebody puts me on my knees with a gun in the back of my head. I'm just saying.
And that
At
happened.
the
When
end
did
of the
that
day-
happen? When did that happen, to Alex Jones?
No. But I use that as I'm just what I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, he was under
Oh my God.
complete duress.
So
of
he was
being
under
destroyed.
duress when he went
Right? So-
on to an allied news show hosted by a Republican and said those same things. The Republicans were making him say it.
How do we get to Alex Jones?
No,
anyway? I'm just curious. We're talking about-
because you're repeating so many Alex Jones points, and now you're defending this concept of conspiracy as though if any of it was true, he wouldn't just like retreat in the same way as like what's his face with the white hair, not Snowden, the other one, the WikiLeaks guy. Like he wouldn't go to move to a country and continue saying the same stuff where they wouldn't extradite Julian Assange. Like he wouldn't pull an Assange here. That all this stuff is happening, but he's a warrior against the deep state, but this deep state is successfully controlling him. Then why would you have any confidence in these conspiracies that are clearly, you're repeating literally Alex Jones's conspiracies?
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'll
We're
be
getting
honest
to the
with you.
thing.
If you look at what's going on right now in our political, listen, when you look at what's going on in our political realm right now,
And I do.
there's a high level of corruption. And it's just, when you look at how the Democrats and Republicans are acting, you're starting to realize, wait a minute, there's some crazy shit happening. And I don't think these people actually know what's going on. They're just following orders.
And the difference is the Democrats were continuing to be corrupt within the parameters of the corrupt system that already existed, and even put some minor efforts into reducing corruption. Donald Trump has exploded policies which have managed to increase corruption. Unfortunately, we've got a couple calls we want to get. We have a hard stop in 24 minutes. So I'm going to let you give your last point here, T, and then we're going to let you go.
Here's my last point. My last point is this.
We're at the thing.
Republican, Democrat. Here's the thing. It's important to know, in order for everybody's mindset to get out of this hole, is that you can't look at Republican and Democrat as much. You have to look at it that it's basically one entity. Is called government. And the reason why they put the Democrat and Republican in place, so that way they'll commit all their crimes on the Democrat side, right? And we as the people, we get angry and we run to the Republican side. And then when we get mad at the Republicans, we run to the Democrats. And we sit there, we go back and forth, right? Nothing gets done for the people. Every year, more and more of us getting screwed. And at the end of the day, we're finally waking up and saying, wait a minute, it's not Democrat. It's not Republican. It's government. And this is where people need to understand. It's
wrap up,
government.
T. Wrap up. I was giving you final words, not final lecture, but so wrap up. You good there?
Well, that's basically my point.
Right.
Is that we all need to wake up and snap out of it
T,
and start to look at different. Because believe it or not,
T, we'll be back on.
Republican, Democrat.
T. You're doing another one. It was one final thought, so we're gonna let you go there. Call back. We'll be back on Thursday. We can chat more if you want. Then
Democrats have more in common. Republican and Democrats have more in common.
I agree. They're both.
We really do.
It's both they're both nonsense positions, and I'll believe you woke up when you become a socialist. Have a good one, T. Call back on Thursday. We'll be back.
Okay, no problem.
All right, I'm going to check one setting over here. I think I fucked up something during this whole deal.
That was such a fascinating conversation. Oh my God. Thank you so much for calling in, T. I should have, you called it on the Alex Jones thing. I should have connected the dots on that because Alex Jones turned on Trump recently and so did T. I didn't even think about that. And I was trying to get him to admit that it's the cabal, the Jews that are doing it, pulling those strings. It's almost always the Jews pulling strings like puppet masters.
The interesting thing, though, is I could be wrong, but he soured on Trump, but didn't he kind of come back into the fold and say, like, I've got good information that Donald Trump is only doing this because he has to or some shit. It's like, because basically the deep state came to him and was like, play ball or else. And they were like, we'll let you do your agenda if you drop the Epstein stuff.
They build this whole wild story in their heads that's just like nonsensical, and more people, it just builds steam. It's wild.
How does that even make you look good? Because I'm like, wait, so you're saying that it's okay that Trump is letting a pedophile ring go because he gets to do his agenda? That wouldn't be the cost that's too far? Like, fuck it, we'll just do a normal Republican level agenda, but we'll stop the greatest pedophile ring that ever fucking existed? Like, that would be a step too far for me. I'm going to let you go ahead and I have to go and fix that production issue. No and I think the worst part is we'll have the vertical version of that we can re-put out. But putting that last call out as a clip is going to be hard because I did not record correctly, I'm realizing. And that really bums me the fuck out.
Oh, it's fine. We can put each other side by side, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I could hard crop it, but I had everything where it was going to be recording on separate audio outputs and stuff. And now I'm realizing that, there's different. I can't even figure out in the recording settings. I used to direct it to record a different output than the normal output. Oh, there it is. Output 2. Yeah. So I was just the regular recorder using the multi-cording audio ability though, using buses. Anyway, I'm going to let you, if you want to take Michael, I think that would be because the other one's kind of directed at me. I'm going to try and quick fix this thing for our producer for the next show.
All right, go ahead. I'll bring Michael in.
I'll do a pause frame again.
Michael, We have you on the air. He, they from Maryland. You're an atheist. What's on your mind?
Hi, am I good? Can you hear me?
Yep.
So I was wondering to get yours and Jimmy's opinion on briefly what the 22nd Amendment says about Trump possibly becoming president once again through being vice president to a newly elected president in the next presidential term. That, if any of that makes sense.
Yeah. So just for anyone who is unfamiliar, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this 22nd Amendment is the amendment that says that the president can only run for office twice, right? It says can only be elected president twice, and no more than that. And you're asking my thoughts on if Trump tried to get in by other means.
Yeah, so the 22nd Amendment states that president can only run for 2 terms max, but if a former president was vice president-elect to a newly elected president, and that president steps down, that vice president, even though they were former president, could step up and be elected as a president again and have a new term, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think what would happen more than likely is Trump wouldn't bother trying to go around anything. He would probably brazenly just try to run anyway, like as the president for a third term and completely ignore the Constitution. There are a number.
Mentioned because they get rid of those amendments that says he's limited.
I think that elections are run by states, so it would be up to the states to not put him on the ballot, but there are enough red states that probably would put him on the ballot anyway that he wouldn't bother trying to go around the Constitution and work within its bounds. He hasn't really tried to work within its bounds up to now anyway. So I think, to be perfectly honest with you, the dude's like 80 and he's got one foot in the grave, one on a banana peel at this point, and I'm pretty confident that he's not even going to make it 4 years. I mean, they admitted recently that he has this venous disease, if I remember correctly. He's just not healthy. He's old, so I don't think we're going to have to worry about it. But based on his personality, if I had to guess, I'd say he would just go for the straight shot and run anyway. Just ignore the Constitution. That's my take. What do you think?
There's a possibility that there's no chance of him getting in office again unless he ultimately tries to do it through other means, or...
Yeah, I mean, he would have to... I don't get the impression, based on the things that he said, that he's interested in trying to get in for a third term. The plus side is he's the only one that can command MAGA to any real degree. Like, there is no successor. He has no successor to take over if or when he dies, right? So when that happens, he's kind of like, I think the Republican Party is going to be headless and Democrats are going to take over again. I'm very confident that's going to happen. And even if it's in, however long it takes, I believe they're going to take over again. And I've read enough history to see how it plays out at the end of dictatorships to know that everybody that we see on our screens today is going to spend the rest of their lives in prison. Stephen Miller, Pam Bondi, Elon Musk. I do not believe that these people are going to escape the arms of justice when Trump kicks it, to be honest. So I guess we'll see. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And from what I'm understanding, what you're saying is once Trump unalives the MAGA party in itself will just break down and discontinue.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that's what's going to happen. I don't think they're going to discontinue. Maybe they'll probably latch on to somebody. Don Jr. will probably come in and try to take control or something, but it's just not. It's going to be a shadow of what it is today. It's bizarre watching Donald Trump effectively be scandal proof. Like, the dude could literally shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and not lose.
At this point,
anybody.
I think he intends to.
Yeah, seriously. I love that freeze frame you got going on there, by the way. That's good.
Yeah, I got to fix that. Sorry. My bad.
You're good.
I will also say just one note I wanted to add, because I was kind of listening in the background. I believe it is the 12th Amendment. It's not been tested yet, so we can't say anything for sure, but I think the 12th Amendment also disqualifies a person from running for vice president if they're disqualified constitutionally from running for vice president if they're disqualified by running for president. Now, even that doesn't necessarily break every avenue. It's very unlikely a person would be willing, like J.D. Vance, to run for president only to pass the torch. That's the other part. So even if he did do some sort of surrogate presidency, the odds that it would be J.D. Vance that would accept doing that, that'd be like the humiliation of a lifetime. I got elected for president as an asterisk kind of deal. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But Michael, any other question or anything we can address here before we let you go?
No, I pretty much got my question answered. I appreciate it. I love watching the line and everything, so thank you, Owen. Thank you, Jimmy.
Sure.
Have a nice night, y'all.
Absolutely. Yep.
See you, Mike.
Awesome. Yes, thank you for calling. It was an interesting question. I don't think we have anything to worry about. I honestly think the dude's got, he's on his last leg, truthfully. So
it's one of those things where I'm like, I hope you're right, but I was surprised COVID didn't knock him down. Remember when we all sat and pretended we weren't hoping, like, but obviously the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I hope that he gets better. Anyway, I don't even think I said I hoped he gets better. It's kind of like, if anything, I was like, if I believed in God, I'd be doing a whole lot of thy will be dones right now.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, God, thy will. You know what I'm saying? Thy will be done.
Principally, I am nonviolent. I don't believe in wishing death on anybody or any of that stuff. But going through this experience, I'm gonna, on the other side of this, I'm gonna be reevaluating a lot of my ideas on.
I mean, regarding how I would handle Trump, I wouldn't advocate for his assassination.
No, certainly not.
Especially when, I would more advocate for a system by which we have fixed the system and now we'll imprison him and make him, dead to us metaphorically, not literally.
What I mean is,
I'd be fine with him just being solitary confinement for the rest of his life.
What I mean is, nonviolence is in, how do we, is revolution necessary in some circumstances? Obviously, in other countries? In my opinion, political violence is always and maybe I still feel that way. I don't know. I'm saying I'm going to have to reevaluate. Should I wish death on somebody? If he got COVID again, would it be moral for me to hope that he kicks it? I'm just going to have to reevaluate my view.
I just kind of think that's different than I guess I think that's different than wanting violence versus seeing this as the thing that is hurting so many people and just going, all I want is for it to be over. I see a potential end in sight, and that end in sight, I want that. I just want to see that end happen.
Right.
And because obviously, whether you wanted to wish death on him or many great number of people, when that happens, I think we will all hear a collective sigh of relief.
Absolutely.
From people. Oh, did my thing froze again? Oh, I think my camera died.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, that's wild. Okay, well, people, I'm just going to be still like that for the rest of I think I had my camera hooked up in a way that apparently I wasn't powering it enough to also charge it must have been something to do with something. I'll fix it between next time. Look, people, it's a new show. Tech things are going to happen. And you just have to deal with it. Let's go ahead and quick take Sebastian's call while I also work on something else. But Sebastian in Texas, in Texas with us, with me and some of the other people on the line. Sebastian, you're on the line with Jimmy and Owen. What do you got? Sebastian, you there?
Hi, hello.
Hi, Sebastian.
Hi. I just wanted to call in. I used to be a fan and watch this show regularly because I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness.
Cool.
And now I'm an agnostic. And I didn't really know you guys' politics. I knew you were anti-MAGA, anti-conservative.
Sure.
But I just want to ask what like ideology you're proposing or alternative to the status quo you're proposing.
So when you say used to be a fan, are you waiting to hear that before you decide if you still are? It's kind of a joke.
No, I don't.
It's just a joke.
I mean, I know you're not MAGA, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jimmy and I may differ a little bit, but not very much. Do you want to lay yours down?
Yeah.
I'll let you go first. I suspect we do vary a little bit, but I also think that I'm much more obsessed with politics than you are. And
you think?
Yeah, I think you are more. I think your obsession with cults is my obsession with politics. I think that's how they kind of align. Wait, I show you Frozen too. Oh, never mind. You just don't move much.
No, I am frozen.
Why? Wait, so we're both frozen?
Yeah, I think so. Wait, on my screen, I'm frozen.
There you go. Now you're back.
There. Okay.
It's like coming back and forth. Weird. There's just weird things happening here. Mine's because the camera died. It's weird that we both had different freezing reasons.
No.
Anyway,
yeah.
I think that's and I wouldn't be surprised if it seems to be as people who I am ideologically aligned with otherwise get deeper into politics, they eventually end up kind of coming more into the same zone. Because if you actually I would argue that my political alignment is basically the most consistent with secular humanism. And it's hard to make a rational, if you are trying to root your politics in secular humanism, it's hard to make a case otherwise. But anyway, we'll find out. You go first and I'll go
well, here's my position. I think that using the word socialist is extremely polarizing in the United States today. So I don't use the word socialist personally, but if I had my choice of like how things would run, I would like to see private companies like operate more like nonprofit companies work. Like there would be a union baked right into every single company that's bigger than 5 people. They would all vote on each other's bosses, and the bosses vote for their bosses, and so on, all the way up the line. And they would vote for pay all the way up the line. That's basically how nonprofits work. And at the top is a board that determines the general direction of the company. Say again?
Like a cooperative, basically a structure in which the workers in the company vote for things, and there's no.
Well, I'm describing
would there be
socialism,
a private owner in the situation.
Yeah, they're a socialist country that certain types of socialist companies would be mostly made. You'd still have businesses, but they'd be worker co-ops for sure.
Yeah, I'm describing socialism. That's my ideal. Basically, just switch from like a private company structure to a nonprofit type of structure for everything. And would there be private owners? I think that I'm okay with like this. I would have to think more about it. I think I'm okay with stocks, the stock market existing and people investing. And I don't know.
Not me.
Maybe you could convince me me otherwise. I would have to think more about it. But I guess.
Oh,
go
ahead.
ahead.
No.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
I'll say mine's rooted strongly in while defining the lines of that system, I wouldn't expect myself, because I'm not an expert in certain areas, to put the lines down perfectly. As far as opposing the Republicans and the Democrats, that's easy. They're both right-wing parties. And right now, wealth, I think you can see where the immorality that I think we have to fight against the most is rooted in is the wealth distribution in our country. Like you are basically, if you're born rich, you die rich. If you're born middle class, you die middle class. You're born poor, you die poor. But then the amount of money that a few people have is becoming larger and larger while the rest of us are sharing less and less. So a system which forces that wealth redistribution. And so even the company that I run, The Line, while right now the main difference between our company, if we became a more ideal socialist country overnight, the main thing that would change is the hosts who all work here would have the ability to get rid of me or overpower one of my choices if they wanted to. I don't actually think they would. I think everybody's content with how I've been running things, but they could replace me or whatever else. Our payment structure actually wouldn't change much, if at all. Our common, the like common fund of money we bring in, that's like indirect profits. That's all paid on literally like a point system that I technically designed it, but it's based on socialist wealth distribution models because we have a bunch of people here. So even as far as the company goes, I've created my own company as close to a socialist company for the type of company it is as one can imagine doing. And I would force, even if it started slower, like maximum wages, but you could still have consolidated power within a company, I would have an absolute maximum wage. I don't know what the exact number is, but I've always said I can easily defend the number at $100 million. I would never allow a person to hoard more than $100 million, period. There would be an absolute maximum wage. Yeah. It's probably quite a bit less than $100 million. My condolences to Bezos, who would only be able to maybe buy one yacht instead of do you remember he has multiple yachts, and a while back he bought a yacht so big it actually can release a smaller yacht. It carries and releases a smaller yacht.
Know that. Yeah, that's insane.
At the time I told the joke, he thought about getting a third yacht, but he was worried about them unionizing. Call back to the beginning of the show. But anyway, it would be it would definitely be, it would be different.
Yeah. So you're saying that you're more socialist then, and I think I am also socialist, but I don't use the word because I do think that capitalism has its value or whatever. But yeah, there you go.
I wouldn't say capitalism has its value, but markets and an ability to change how much you make by the amount of labor and the things that you pursue and everything. Even the most socialist people I know, it's kind of like everybody should get the basic needs of a pleasant life, right? Mm-hmm. Like everyone should be guaranteed shelter, food, water, healthcare, all of those kinds of things. And once all of that is assured, having some distribution where your contributions get you some more than that, most people are fine with. Very few people are like, nah, gray suit communism. You know, everybody goes to bed in the same apartment. You wake up and you do it because you should do it and it's your duty or whatever shit. There's not that many of those around. It's provide for everybody. And once you've hit that, do whatever the fuck you want, my guy.
Yeah. I mean, people nowadays, like, or I don't know, people under capitalism work and they know that they're going to make the same shit wage no matter how hard they work or what they do. Mm-hmm. But if you have a system that adequately pays people for like it doesn't have a private ownership, like a leech, a private owner as the leech that's extracting all of the money, or people who are investing who are skimming the top off of the entire company. Therefore, all the workers like make garbage wages. Then those wages would reflect the success of the company. The wages would reflect the quality of the product, and so those people would actually want to work harder. And I pretty much agree. Like, it's a similar type of market socialism that I.
Hey, we have to end this stream in less than 1 minute, so I got to cut you off there. But I guess the biggest summary there is Democrats and Republicans are both serving corporate oligarchy, and that's why we don't agree with either of them. Why is their music suddenly playing? I didn't tell it to do that.
I was expecting you guys to be like right wing for some reason.
That's weird.
No way. Yeah, absolutely not.
That's weird. Clearly, it's been a while since you've watched. I did not intentionally trigger the music I'm hearing. Oh, I know what it is. The other show is starting. All right, everybody, go check out Chewed Gum over on The Line, and we will see you all again on Thursday when Arden will be joining me. And our claim on Thursday will be MAGA's obsession with trans issues is creepy, or something along those lines. And people can call in and fight us on that if they like. Thank you, Owen, for joining. You will have Owen back soon. Otherwise, y'all have a great time. The music I'm hearing is Chewed Gum beginning. They started it a little bit early, but it's over now. I just ended the stream, so we're off anyway.
Awesome.